Okay, so in this video, I'm going to explain the solutions for each item on this page of the assessment. So I can include number 7 here. So I have 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let's start with number 7. Okay, so let's look at number 7. So in number 7, you are given that AB, so it says AB is parallel to CD, and we want to find the value of x and y. So since we are given two parallel lines, as you can see here, so these are parallel lines and there's a third line cutting the two parallel lines, you need to know the relationship of the angles made here. Now, in this particular example, so if you look at this angle is the corresponding angle for this one. Okay, now note that all corresponding angles, or every corresponding angles, a pair of corresponding angles, are always the same. So in my solution, you could see that I equated 7x minus 10 and 5x plus 40. So basically, those are the measures of B, this angle here, and then the angle here. So they are the same, so I set them in an equation. And then once you do that, all you have to do is to solve this equation. Of course, you have to know how to use algebra in solving this equation, and then just perform all the steps until you get 25. Okay, but the main idea lies here. The angles are the same in measure, so you can have 7x minus 10 equals to 5x plus 40. Now to get the value of y, the y is related to this angle. So 3y degrees and 7x minus 10 should be equal in measure because they are opposite angles. Now all opposite angles have the same measure, so 3y is equal to 7x minus 10. So as you can see in my solution, 3y is equal to 7x minus 10. And then note that we already found the value for x, and that is 25. So you can change that x here to 25 and you will get this. So 3y is equal to 7 times 25. So note the x is changed into 25 and then minus 10. And then all you have to do, just solve this equation until you get the value of y. And y should be equal to 55. Okay, in number 8, so you have to take note of some symbols. When you see symbols like this indicates the same measure in terms of the sides of the triangle. So this side of the triangle is equal to this side of the triangle in measure. Now, with that, it means the triangle is an isosceles triangle, and if two sides, the two sides of an isosceles triangle are the same, that's also the same relationship for the angles facing or opposite those sides. Like 6x and 84 will be or are two equal angles as well. So as you can see in my solution, it's 6x equal to 84 because the two angles are the same. So 6x is equal to 84 will give you x equals 84 over 6, and that will give you 14. Okay, so you need to know the relationship of the sides and the angles of an isosceles triangle to solve this problem. Okay, let's go to B. Now in B, this is a special relationship of angles, the one inside the triangle and the one outside the triangle. This angle is what we call the exterior angle. Okay, now we established in class the relationship of this exterior angle to these two angles inside the triangle. Now this angle is actually equal to the sum of 3x and 4x. That's why if you look at my solution, I stated here y is equal to 3x plus 4x. Okay, and then we know that y is actually 140 coming from this information. In a given straight line, the angle is always 180. So if one of the angles, if you split this line into two angles and one is already 40, then the other angle must be 140, so that the total or the sum of the two angles will be 180. So here we have 40, then y needs to be 140. So knowing that, so if y is 140, so this will be changed now by 140, and we have 3x plus 4x equals 140. So as you can see here, so 3x and 4x together will be 7x, and then equals 140. Then divide this both sides by 7, you get x equals 20. Okay, number 9. So find the value of the unknowns on the rectangle below. Now, the key here is to know the characteristics of a figure, in this case a rectangle. A special characteristic of a rectangle is that all the angles in a rectangle are 90 degrees. Okay, so this angle C here is 90, the angle D here is 90, the angle at B is 90, and the angle at A is 90. So knowing that, if I have A and 54 here, the sum of A and 54 must be 90. So that is why I wrote A plus 54 equals 90. Okay, and then with this equation, I can now solve it. Okay, so I can subtract 54 on both sides, and eventually that will lead to A equals 90 minus 54. Then 90 minus 54 is equal to 36, and that's the value of A. So we're done with A. Now, how do we find B? Now, look at the figure, and you will see that it's an extension of the idea of parallel lines. That if you consider CD and AB, these two sides of the rectangle are parallel. So if you introduce a third line cutting the two parallel lines, then you will have those alternate interior angles, you can have those corresponding angles, okay, or those supplementary angles inside or within the two parallel lines. And in this case, there is a relationship between A and B. This A is the alternate angle for B. In particular, these are alternate interior angles. And note that alternate interior angles have the same measure. So since we already found A to be 36, and B is basically has the same measure with A, so B must also be 36. That is why I said here A is equal to B, and we know that A is already 36, so B must be 36 as well. Okay. In number 10, so we wish to find the value of the unknowns on the parallelogram below. Again, the key is knowing the characteristics of a parallelogram. We try to look at alternate interior angles. We try to look at opposite angles in a given parallelogram. Okay, a special characteristic of a parallelogram is that the opposite angles are the same. So when we say opposite angles, these are the angles located exactly opposite the figure within the figure. So A is the opposite angle of 102, and opposite angles in a parallelogram have the same measure. So if this is already 102, then A must also be 102. So as you can see, the answer for A is 102. Now what about B? Now I need you to focus your attention on the line AD and on the line CB. Okay? Now forget about DC and AB. So you have AD or DA and CB. If this is a third line, you will notice that B and 44 are actually alternate interior angles. And again, alternate interior angles have the same measure. So if this is already given as 44, then B must be equal to 44. Okay, so that's how you solve the problems on page 3 of the assessment 1, type 1. Okay, so you have a copy here. So if there's something confusing, all you have to do is to watch the video again. Okay, that's it.